Greetings and blessings this Friday evening. It is September the 7th, I think, 6th. I lost count of the days. Anyway, um, it's the 7th. Okay, I had to look. All right, so anyway, greetings and blessings to all of you who stop by and say hi and listen to Crazy Dave. I am David Noel, and I am the also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, my native shaman name. And so I greet you with blessings for you and your family and all of the above. Now, a lot of times I'm sitting here and be meditating on a certain subject or thing or whatever, and I got my shirts on crooked. Anyway, it's all right. Um, and I'm unaware that I'm going to be talking about something, and I'll get what I call a Mother Mary moment or a galactic download, however you want to look at it, spiritual thing. Anyway, angel message. And a curious thing happened to me yesterday before I went into town with my friend. And she came over to take me into town so I could get my driver's license. And my truck's not in the best shape, and I just didn't want to pull into the. It's not. I've had a couple of accidents with deer. Okay, basically, and my bumper is kind of in the wrong place, and the front end's been smashed twice, both by deer. Not my fault. And so I just didn't want to drive to the state patrol office with my truck like that. Like okay, wire hanging out on the side. So anyway, my friend took me into town. Blessings to her. And when she got here to pick me up, I was just waking up. I've been having trouble. I've spoke about it a little bit. I try not to complain about my issues much because I'd rather speak to you all about positive things, like the calm before the storm. And I'm not going to. And this is important about this particular thing. I turned down the hot water heater, so I thought, because I don't leave it on all the time. I live by myself, save energy, electricity. So I flip on the hot water heater. My friend comes over and she's like, okay, everything's all right. You're up and awake. All right, along. Okay, give me 10 minutes, blah, blah, blah. So she goes, cleans out her car, and I get in the shower. Now the water's it hadn't been on long, but it's perfectly warm, wonderful shower. I'm saying prayers. I'm asking for blessings. I'm asking for the Palladians to help me out because I was having a rough morning and I needed to get these things done yesterday. So everything's cool and everything's fine. And I'm out of the shower, drying off, dressed. I'm talking to my friend, putting on my shoes and socks, checking a couple of things, put on deodorant, the whole 9 yards, right? And I go to turn the hot water heater back off. And I notice that I had not turned the hot water heater on at all. It's a double breaker system and they're not connected. So being an electrician's helper over the years, I've wired my house, other things. Anyway, so I knew what I was doing. So I turned off one leg of a 220. Well, instead of turning the other one on, I flipped the other one off. Now you say, well, Dave, what's that matter? I don't know how the water got warm. There's no electricity that went through the hot water heater yesterday. I turned off both legs to the hot water heater on the in the in the electric panel. I just came out of the bathroom just recently with my little electric probes checking to see if there was something wrong in the breaker box. So I'm checking them, negative, positive, blah, blah, blah for voltage. And it's like there's no voltage there. So how in the hell did my hot water heat up? Well, I was asking the spirits, help me out today. Help me get my driver's license, please. Help me do this. My friends here, I really need to do this, please. And as I've stated before, I very rarely ask for prayers for myself. But when it's important like this, to get your driver's license renewed, you only have so many days, it's your birth month, blah, blah, blah. And so it was important. So as I'm leaving, I tell my friend Marcia, I say, the hot water heater's off. How do I have warm water? So she was like, well, you can't be talking about it now. Let's go into town. So I did. We did our business, had a wonderful evening, spent time with her. It was very lovely. Thank you very much, Marcia. And so, and I get back home. And of course, the first thing in my mind, I'm still thinking, how in the hell did that water in my hot water heater heat up? because if it heated up with the breakers off, then I've got electric issues, and that means my hot water heater's on all the time. So I go to checking and things last night and today I go back through to check, and so cosmically the hot water in my hot water heater, because I asked for help yesterday, and in my only partial brain of being able to go into town with my friend, I had inadvertently turned the other breaker off instead of turning them both on. So what's going on here? And all I can say is that that's a spirit message. That's a spirit. See, we were behind you, Dave. You know, you turned the hot water heater the wrong way, but you were in a hurry. You asked for our help, and we gave it to you. Now the water's still warm in the hot water heater. After it's been 24 hours now, longer. But to the point, though, it's like I've checked the electricity. There's no power going through the hot water heater, and technically it should have like cooled down by now. But there's no electricity going through it. But the water's still warm in the hot water heater. I'm like, okay. Now my friend was here. I mean, I could take this thing in there and show you, but it's just a story. But hi, Rainbow and Melanie. I'm not going to put my glasses on because then I'll want to read. So, but anyway, this is a little impromptu thing that came through, and it was like, I'm doing my end of the week reading of the news and so forth, and all that other kind of good stuff. And I can actually see the chat in this, by the way. That's cool. For some reason, this mode of operandi with YouTube and my Chromebook decided to start working again. So that's interesting. Anyway, so in talking with Rainbow earlier, I was like, I was sort of in this frame of mind. And what seems to be coming, and this is interesting, it could be a literal storm like rain, thunder. And while I was on earlier with Rainbow, there was a lightning struck out in my yard. I would guess about 100 feet from the house. I mean, I could see it through the window, crack, boom, And there is a lot of rain going on right now, all over the place. I mean, my friends in Florida, down in Tallahassee, which is, I don't know, about 65 miles south of me, roughly. And, they're getting rain every day. And parts of Tallahassee are subject to flooded streets in a heavy downpour. It's just normal because it's hilly, low spots. Anyway, so there's, moderate flooding going on almost all the time now. Now, on the converse side up here in South Georgia, I checked the rain gauge again yesterday. There was, in one thunderstorm, I had 1 inch and 2/10 in about a 36-hour period, like a day and a half. 2 thunderstorms. I had emptied it out 2 days earlier, and I'd collected 1.5 inches of rain, and that was for 3 or 4 days earlier. So at the end of August and beginning of September, right here on my place, I've received almost 5 inches of rain. 2, 1, 3, 4 inches of rain. There are no mud puddles. The river still isn't flowing. So whatever is going on with the rain, it's being sucked into the earth. Okay. What does this have to do with patience and being calm in the storm? Well, regardless of the things that are going on, some people are flooding. And in some places, like here in South Georgia, we're soaking up this water because the farmers have been taking it out of the earth for so long. And I believe that it's bringing a balance back. Now, where is the storm coming from? Well, Dave Janis, anyway, there's Greg Hunter, different people that I've listened to. You can go through my liked section in the subscriber list thing and tell who I watch and who I pay attention to. But they've been talking about the changes coming. And so what's going on? Well, there is a definite switch in politics with the midterms coming up. There's a big switch in monetary and political things around the world because Russia, China, even the EU this last week was going to Russia saying, Trump's not going to support us anymore. Can you help us, Putin? So the Europeans are now asking the Russians to help them because the United States is backed out of the United Nations. Now, does that mean we should be scared of Russia? No. What it means is we're going to quit wasting Americans' money trying to support them buttholes over there on the other side of the ocean. We need to quit that mess. So, but that's part of the storm. Okay. The monetary system is changing. We've been hearing about this reset for a long time. Now, there are indicators saying that this reset, we are right on the doorstep of this reset. That's part of this storm. Okay. That's part of this chaos. Why are we looking over here? It's because there's a bunch of stuff happening over here. It has to do with monetary, energy wise from the cosmos, as I've talked about lots, and all these other things. So there is a humongous amount of calamity going on. Now, the downloads from the galactics, or the angel messages, if you will, are very simple. There's going to be a lot of chaos, and a lot of people are going to freak out because they've not had to deal with anything in this potential before. And now, I've been on the ocean, and I've sailed out when I lived in Tampa, and I've been down to the coast a lot of times. I have friends of mine with sailboats, and I've sailed off the coast of Florida, out of Apalachicola and St. Mark's and down in there. So, am I an avid sailor? No, but I've been out on the ocean when storms come up and motor bust, and you're out in the middle of the ocean, and the best thing you can do is batten stuff down and stay as calm as possible, because the ocean's rocking. You got a 40-foot aluminum mast sticking up there, and you're the only thing on the ocean, and there's lightning crashing all around you. What is the worst thing you could do? And that's to get in a panic mode. That's to get fearful. And I have been so electrified. I have so much respect for the old salts, the old sailors of the old days, who just took the ships out and mastered, in the storms they've gone through. And, it's just amazing. Now, when I use the ocean and a storm, because it's very applicable, it is depending on whose pronunciation, and what it has to do with not panicking. It has to do with, you got to stay calm. No matter what's going on, you got to keep it together. You got to hang on. And I've spoke many times before about, there's forward and there's backwards, and then there's neutral. Now, being in neutral doesn't necessarily mean that you have to not do anything. Being in neutral means you just stand still for a little while, because if you panic on a sailboat in the middle of the ocean and do the wrong thing with your jib sail or the rudder, or you turn into whatever it is, you can be capsized. You can be in extreme danger in an instant. In the blink of an eye, you can be washed overboard. No matter, even if you're tied on, it doesn't matter. Bad things can happen instantly. The best thing to do is to just stand still, hang on, hold on to the tiller, just hang on and brave it. And in 20 minutes time, a lot of times, depending on the storm, unless it's a sure enough hurricane and you're caught. But I'm speaking in terms of this experience I had with a really nasty afternoon thunderstorm that happens a lot off the coast of Florida. And so, but in that period of time, had we panicked, there could have been serious consequences for 6 people on that sailboat. And what it took was me and my friend Tommy, I love him to death. He stood and we made sure that we had just enough sail, and that I had a hold of the tiller, and that between the two of us, we had maintained that sailboat. But what it took was calmness in the storm. It took a calm I look back on now in my, I keep talking about how these pictures of things that's happened to me in the past kind of flip through my mind. And these things flip through, and I look at them and I go, I remember that instance and being, hit with waves over the top of my head and holding on to the tiller. No raincoat, no nothing. I'm in a t-shirt and a pair of shorts and deck shoes, because we're out for an afternoon sail off the coast of Florida. We're maybe a mile offshore, but to the point though, had we panicked in any way, that storm came up so quickly, so violently. One of us could have been washed over. The lightning could have hit the boat. I still don't know how that didn't happen, but calmness prevailed, and we entered into the harbor without a motor, under almost a full sail, and tacked into the harbor under sail, which people standing on the shore went, how in the hell do you do that with a 26-foot sailboat down through the channel and blah, blah, blah. Me and Tommy. And perseverance and staying calm in a storm. Now, okay, with that said, this storm that is about us right now with the economics and everything, I don't know if any of you have heard, but on August the 31st, before the 1st of September, Donald Trump signed an executive order stating that September is disaster preparedness month, and that all American citizens should be aware of this and should be trained and should be. Now, hang on. If you pay attention to Trump and some of the things that's happened, like in December, he signed that executive order, about anybody in human trafficking or crime or whatever, their property and valuables would be seized and they would be under investigation. That's still in effect. Back in March, he signed another executive order extending basically the military tribunal laws, and how they can now hire and bring in civilian lawyers in a military tribunal. Interesting. Now we have this end of August thing and going into September. Now, there are many of us, and I haven't spoken on this because I didn't wish it to happen, but as things are evolving, I need to bring it up. Something fishy is in the air, and it has to do with this year's 9/11. And you say, well, what do you mean? It's because of the numbers. The year, the number. This is the 17th anniversary of 9/11. 17 is a big number in the cabal. And all of it, all of how it's related, I'm not going to get into it, except that things are numbered for the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and also around the 28th and 9th of this month. Okay. Why do I bring this up? Every September, people talk about the harbinger and the end of the world. Well, the autumnal equinox, which is on the 23rd. My birthday's on the 24th. I'm minor plug. I'm kidding. But I'm astounded that I made it to my birthday at 66 this year. That's what I'm astounded by. It's not that I got a birthday. It's that I made it this long, with all the stuff that I've been through. So I'm just in awe that I'm still here. And I think it's because I've tried to be calm in the middle of all the chaos of my life. That's my own interpretation there. But for everyone else, this chaos ain't over. The midterm elections is going to really see some stuff, okay? And these people who have been in control for a long time they're out of options. They are doing stuff. They are clinging to things. They are the cornered rat. Now, I've had a possum stuck in the corner of my chicken pen, and they'll put up a fight. I mean, they'll try to chew your tennis shoe off in a heartbeat. Don't go barefoot in the chicken pen. Well, for other reasons too. But in this chaos and calamity, and I don't know, but I've had a feeling that they're gonna try some bullshit. Plain and simple. Don't know what, don't know where, but there are certain days that have kept coming up recently since, I don't know, like February of this year, that keep showing up these numbers during this month in September. And it being the 17th anniversary, blah, blah, blah. Now, Trump saying that, that the month of September is, disaster preparedness, and that we should all start doing these things, and it'll help us become a better community. And it's like, that's just kind of weird. With all the other things that have been said, all the other executive orders that have been signed, Obama scared the crap out of me, and a lot of other people too. So that's why a lot of us voted for Trump. Now, Donald Trump, though, as he's been signing executive orders, they're attached to things. They're attached to serious change. Now, they got to change from this dollar to a new something system. And the Chinese yuan and the ruble, the Russian ruble, them folks have got it worked out, okay? And about a year ago, the yuan was put onto like the stock exchange, where before it wasn't valued at all. Now that the Chinese money is worth as much as a dollar now, if you look at it in a global perspective. So they're trying to get us off the dollar under the petro dollar, because our dollar is based on oil and other resources versus any type of gold or silver or any other kind of commodity like that versus oil. Okay. And the oligarchs, that's the only way to get rid of these SOBs, is to take away their power. And if the dollar is based on something other than oil, it takes away their power. They have money, but now it's worthless because it's based on their own commodity. Okay. Now, in order for this change to come about, and apparently this coming up along with the midterms and so forth, apparently with the FISA warrants and all this stuff that's coming out, all the supposedly 40,000 indictments that are supposed to be unsealed, things are happening. It's slower than any of us would like. But if you look at the big picture, in order to get the correct things done, it had to wait this long because they had to get the executive orders in. And I assure you that Donald Trump has went through the law and that he is backed by a law, not just by some whim of his. He's got a RICO law, he's got some kind of law, and he has precedence to do what he has been doing. And so before the midterms, if they bring out a lot of stuff about all this corruption and so forth, and it sways the election, there's going to be some PO'd people. And there are people who are damned and determined to make sure that the midterm elections come out wonky. Okay. It's just plain and simple. I mean, they do it every year or every voting season. So we need to be prepared. Don't know what these crazy people are going to throw out there, but I've had this weird tingling in a strange place on my back about what's coming up. Now, there are a lot of people are aware that they want to do something on the anniversary of somewhere. I'm not saying it's going to be in New York City or anything, but the 9/11 date is a big time cabal number, and they don't want to misuse it. So they're going to try something because they have to. I mean, they gotta. It's in their blood. The numbers are right, and they think it's in their favor. Now, if we are just basically aware that these crazy people are going to try anything they can before the midterms, if we can foresee, don't know what, that they're just plain crazy and that we need to be aware of their craziness. If that's the simple thing to do, we're aware that they're nuts. So if they try to draw us into something, if they try to steal our energy for a negative outcome, we got to be prepared. It might be that that's a good place to go is to neutral. It might be that what you need to do is just find a nice, safe place on that boat with the waves all around and just hang on, because let the storm pass. Now, at times, if your boat's sinking, you got to bail the water out. Okay, there are certain things you got to do. But I'm just using a general retrospect with using a boat in the ocean. It's important that we keep our calm. I don't know how else to say it. And it's getting hammered in me a lot. In fact, Rainbow Phoenix and I are going to do a show tomorrow at 5, Saturday, September the 8th at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Oh, by the way, bringing that up, the Eastern Daylight Time, do you know that the EU, the European Union, have done studies, and there are several countries like Poland and Czechoslovakia and a bunch of them in there that they wish to abolish daylight savings time because they have proof that daylight savings time messes with our internal clocks. It messes with our memories. And then we go through this change twice a year, and they wish to abolish it. Now, I've had my hand raised on this for a long time, that it was just plumb dumb stupid about this daylight savings time, that it was messing with our circadian rhythms and so forth. Now there is scientific study, and these countries wish to abolish it. Thumbs up for them. Now, I got a clock in the background that's an hour off. I refuse to spring forward. And it has changed my whole paradigm in where I live, in my space, in my little time zone here in Dave's world. But with that said, it's like some of the, and I'm not trying to brag about this. I'm trying to say that here's proof of things I've been discussing. Does it make me correct and make me some super prophet? No. It just makes me aware. I'm a watchman, I'm a prayer warrior, and these things have been shown to me, and now there is proof. So it's just like, okay, have a little faith with this, and I'm not asking you to go jump off a bridge or get in jump in the ocean in a storm. No, I'm saying there are specific things that we can have discussion about, like being calm in a storm, understanding that it's okay to stand still. It might be that in a tornado, I've seen, and we've all seen them. We've seen videos where people are trying to cross the street with a heavy wind. Dummy, stay where you're at. What's so important, unless you're trying to save somebody near the other side of the street, that you're going to want to cross it? There are certain things, is like, maybe you should just stay put for a minute. Maybe you should just hold on. I mean, it's very simple. So but this chaos that is coming, because these midterms are not going to turn out like some people think. And there's going to be a lot of voter fraud brought up. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming up these next few months. But like I'm going to reiterate, I don't know about this month, but there's some spine tingly thing that's just got me kind of on the awareness. They're trying something. Now, the good news is the good guys are on the same track. They're going to try their damnedest to prevent it. So, being calm in the storm, if we know, being from Florida and living off the coast, and you can see the storms coming in, a storm's coming. What do? You go to your sailboat and you batten down the hatches, make sure things are tied. You do certain things. So it's like we see this coming. The president's warning us. There are other indicators that are all there. If you go through the political spectrum, go check out Greg Hunter and some of his videos. He's right on top. Dave Janis, I think, he's right on top. And his intel has matched the Galactic's intel, by the way. And him and Greg Hunter, about once a month, they do an interview. And it's solid information. And it's backed with fact and people in Washington and other places. So this information's out there, and they're showing it to us right now. Here, hey, y'all pay attention. So during all of this, stay calm in the storm. Know who you are. Know just you are a spiritual being, and even if lightning takes you out tomorrow, then you'll know that you were prepared. I mean, I'm not wishing this on anybody, but lightning struck out my yard. That's why I brought it up. I was like, it could have been a little closer. It could have wiped out my computer. And anyway, thank you for the yard. And I haven't found out where it struck yet, but it was pretty close. So we need to continue a positive attitude before the storm gets to us. We know it's brewing. We can see it. We can feel it. But knowing that, fold up your folding chairs and put them in the garage, wind up your hose in the middle of the yard, do things to prepare. Whatever it is, mentally, physically, meditation wise, just understand it's there, and so is the potential. So be careful, be calm, be love, spread the love. And I'm gonna just because I'm at the end here and I want to wrap up, I want to read. Sounds like living next to the ocean, about 11 inches above sea level. Yeah, I grew up tinfoil where my elevation in Tampa was 9 feet, and I was like, oh my God, if a big storm ever come in, we'd just be wiped off get wiped off. Being calm in the middle of the shitstorm is virtually important. Yes, ma'am, Miss Rainbow. And I'm not trying to take away from what we were talking about. But it's just that we just need to you know, this has to do with the political scene more than energy wise, but there's more to that as well. And Rainbow Phoenix and I, we're going to talk about it tomorrow at 5. Check us out. Love you all. I'm going to do this in 30 minutes. Ah, there it is. I love you all. Be safe, be calm, be loved. Spread the joy, spread the news, spread the calmness. Okay. Love you all until next time. Bye bye.